before we even dive into this video, I just want to say I'm going to be linking 1814 Dreddyhead's video in the description box down below because I feel like he articulated everything that needs to be said about the situation. Now, this situation hits super close to home for me because I literally live next door to Wander. I have a nephew in the school system. Thank goodness he is in a different county. And I just want to talk about this because it really breaks my heart for all these kids who will never get to just be a kid. Now, I'm in my early 20s, and I remember my dad hearing stories about the way that he grew up, and then hearing stories about the way that his mom grew up, and my dad is in his late 50s now, and I always envied hearing those stories. I always envied, the walk to school. I always thought it was so cool hearing how it was normal back then for people, elder folks, to see kids walk in, pick them up, take them to where they're going, and make sure that they get there safely. And nobody batted an eye at that because it was so normal and people genuinely looked out for each other. And nowadays, if somebody stops in their vehicle to ask you if you need a ride, it's red flags because you never know what their intentions are. And it just goes to show you how downhill we've come as a society. And y'all please watch Dreddyhead's video about this because he articulated everything way better than I ever could about this situation. Just for some context and background, this child here shot up a high school and killed multiple people with a weapon, an assault rifle that his dad bought him for Christmas. Me personally, my father was in the Navy, and we were taught from a very young age, guns are not toys. They are weapons. They are not meant to be played with. They are not aesthetic. They are not cool. They are strictly there for protection, And nowadays, seeing how many people can just get their hands on them and how many parents gift children weapons just because they ask for them is absolutely bizarre. I personally have a toddler, and I won't even buy him an airsoft gun growing up because I do not want him to think weapons are toys. So why this dad went out of his way and bought his son an assault rifle, I have no damn idea. But the dad bought his son an assault rifle, and his son left school, came back to school, and decided to start shooting. The blatant disregard for human life is... it's something that I always question myself when these things happen. Is the kid genuinely just bad? Is the kid mentally ill? Was the kid... did they grow up a certain way? You never can really understand why these things happen. And I feel like, as a parent, these types of situations where we just want our kids to go to school to get an education. And I'm somebody who prioritizes education in our household. My nephew's not in school, and that breaks my heart because I really, like I said, prioritize education in our household. And just thinking that sending your child, kissing your child, sending them off the bus, seeing the bus pull off, knowing that they're going to school, but not knowing if that child is going to come home that day because you don't know what's going to happen. And we never had to worry about this before until these oncoming years that, where this violence has spiked. And you've seen this time and time again, and it's not a certain age demographic. We've seen it happen with elementary schools, middle schools, high schools. Oh my gosh. Before anybody judges me for what I'm about to say next, hear me out. I remember growing up, I've always been very family oriented. And I remember, I told myself as a teenager, I was like, I'm not having kids, just strictly because of the way that the economy was going. Back in the day, you could go to college and get a career and you could afford to live nowadays, even when you go to college and get that degree, you're still struggling to survive. Financially, the economy sucks, and I remember telling myself, I did not want to bring a kid into that. Now, after I had my kid, I remember it was the biggest blessing I've ever received in my entire life. And I remember I thought to myself, now I understand, now I understand why people have kids, because it's quite literally one of the most incredible things that you can do as a person, as a human, is to be able to have a child and raise that child and make unforgettable memories. And, just looking at my mom, just thinking, oh, that's incredible how she grew up and she had us and we came up well, and now we have our own kids and they're coming up well and they're going to have their own kids, and we might be here to see, our grandkids. And it's just, it's really touching when you think about it. But now our kids can't even go to school to get a damn education because we don't know if they're going to come home. I would like to think that all these kids are just very mentally ill who do this. I don't know if they're just very angry, if they're very mentally ill, if they were coerced to doing it, if they've seen things like this and they wanted to do. I don't know. I don't think anybody knows or understands why stuff like this happens. But I do think that when stuff like this happens, this child right here, who's 14, who took people's lives, children's lives, affected families forever, gave everybody in that school building, teachers included, trauma that they're going to carry for the rest of their lives. I feel like he should be tried as an adult, and I feel like that father should be held 1,000% responsible alongside his child for getting him that assault rifle and for possibly missing the signs that this was going to happen. As a parent, something I just want to say very quickly is I didn't enjoy school growing up. I wasn't a fan of it, but after school was finished and I became an adult, I missed it. I missed those memories. I missed the quirky times. I missed being in trouble in school. I remember ISS. I missed the school lunches. I missed the salads. You know what I mean? Like, when you get out of school, you start to appreciate it and the times that you spent in the schoolhouse a lot more. And I want those memories to be the same for our kids. And my nephew can't even go to school now, because of all this that's happening. There are schools closing down around that county and in different areas just because there's more schools being targeted right now. And just seeing my nephew having to go through this and all these other families and all these other parents who, one, lost kids to school shootings, but then also parents who are too traumatized to risk the lives of their child and send their child to school. And your child is going to never have a normal childhood. And that really, really breaks my heart, and it really affects me as a person. And I feel so horrible for all these families. And having a kid who is a toddler, who has not been in school yet, it terrifies me because I don't think he's ever going to experience school just at the rate it's going. And just knowing that, our kids are never going to have a normal childhood, but then our small children may never have, these normal life experiences that we cherished so much. I don't know if this child who did the shooting was mentally ill. I don't know if there were signs at home that this was something that was going to happen. I don't know if he's been researching the topics. I don't know if there were things that the parents could have caught on to change the outcome of what happened. But I do feel like, as a parent, even if you did not know that this is what your child was going to do, I feel like there should have been signs, whether it was outburst, whether it was anger, whether it was a change of attitude or behavior. Something happened, And I feel like as a parent, to neglect that in a child, seeing your child act a certain way, maybe it's just, they're kids, kids are going to be kids, they're going to act out. But certain behaviors need to be nipped in the butt. Children need to be talked to. They need to have guidance. They need to have love. And for a child to get loved, it puts love in their heart. And looking at this kid here in this picture, his eyes, something about this child's his eyes, his demeanor in these pictures looks so detached. And it's really disturbing to see. I'm wrapping this up, but this really, really, really hit home for me. And I just wanted to talk a tiny bit about it. If you are a parent, please pay attention. Check on your kids. Do not get them guns. I don't know. I've never thought I'd have to say that. Please don't buy your child a gun. This is coming from somebody who's pro-arms. I believe having weapons are a good thing, as long as they are secured. You cannot just have a gun in your home with children running around and not secure that gun. I feel like it is important to be able to protect yourself. And when I think about guns, I think about protection, you know? I don't think about why, you know, like, how anybody can do this. It's disgusting. So as a parent to other parents, if you have a child who is in school, I highly encourage you to check on them, to talk to them, to love them. If there is any signs or changes in behavior, it's very important to address it, because we do not live in a society that we used to live in. It's very different nowadays. If your child starts displaying abnormal behavior, it's very important to intervene and to seek help for your child. Even if you can't provide your child that help, outsource it. Things like this need to be prevented. Schools need to do better at upgrading their security. Schools need to do better at cracking down on this. We need to hire more officers. The police do need support. We need more police funding. And strictly because of situations like this. You know, when I was growing up, I grew up pretty rough. And I remember being afraid of the police because I always associated them with bad things. Taking things. Placing us in different homes, you know. Growing up, I had a very not so great outlook on the police. I associated them with bad things. But now I understand, well, not just now, but, you know, I understood growing up that they're there to protect us. They're there to help us. They're who you call when situations like this happen. They are very much needed. I feel like I'm just going to go off on tangents, but I'm just going to wrap this video up. I want to, I don't know, just feel free to go check out 1814 Dreadyhead's video about this situation, because like I said, he articulated this way better than I ever could. He's also a parent, so he gave his very honest standpoint on this situation as a parent, and I, as another parent, very much appreciate that. And I'm just going to wrap this video up. If y'all live remotely close to these areas, or if y'all are a subscriber and y'all live in this area, if y'all have children who attended this school, if you know somebody who was lost in this, I truly give you my deepest condolences. First and foremost, I feel nothing but sympathy for the families who went through this. I feel nothing but sympathy for the families who their children went to a schoolhouse to get a higher education and did not come home that night. It is so unnatural for a parent to bury their child. It's sad thinking that the children one day have to bury their parent, but it's so unnatural for the parent to have to bury their child and think about their child's funeral. And it's just harrowing, and I feel so devastated as a parent who just knows that, you know, we have kids who are terrified now to get an education because they don't want to go to school. They're too scared to go to school. I'm wrapping this up, but just let me know your thoughts and opinions about this. Please go feel free to check out 1814 Dreadyhead's video. Again, I'm going to be linking that in the description box. Give him support. He spoke very, very well and articulated this situation beautifully. So feel free to go check that out and give him a subscription, because yeah, he said everything that I'm thinking that I just cannot articulate properly because my emotions are getting the better of me. And yeah, I'll talk to y'all later.